I remember it was I want to say it was in Washington or Baltimore or something like that. It's a while ago where the weather was uh the weather was on the TV channel saying that it was about to be the coldest winter ever. But this area in the city, people wasn't able to pay for their electricity. It was like a impoverished area, like so everybody was in, you know what I'm saying, like the whole area. So they was gonna shut off like mad blocks of power. So collectively, everybody was in the same mentality, and they was hoping and praying that meditating, whatever it was a collective way of thinking. That's where I'm going. It's one collective thinking in that whole area because everybody was going through the same shit. So that collective thinking caused that winter that they thought was going to come not to come. It got hot. It's like it was record breaking. It was like the high 80s and 90s for the whole period of time. So even if they was going to cut it off, it didn't matter. Like it was like a second summer or some shit. And the people got through it. They got through it. And it was shocking. It was shocking. They said it on the news. It was like it was shocking, you know, like the event. Where am I going with this? Moreover, to the science of the fact of collective consciousness or collective thinking can make things change in the ether and in the physical world. That particular way of energy and thought pattern and connection is being harnessed by unseen forces that we have no clue how it's even being harnessed. But I'm here to tell you. You have symbols that delegate words, and the words delegate how you feel through vibration. So deeper than the whole action of them coming together, it was the fact of that can be used or understood. So when things take place here in the mass function, being mindful of the fact that it may be taking function because of the symbols that's being used in order to control the vibration of the action. Thus the contrast takes place. Like nobody noticed men just all of a sudden wanted to start having mad babies. People don't understand the value of what women doing, talking about they don't want to be with somebody. They got all these issues with what they want when it comes to a relationship. We ain't never had nothing happen within our culture outside of our culture that wasn't understood. Only time things started changing is when things started happening outside of our culture that we didn't understand. And that goes all the way back to the idealistic value of somebody wanting to call you a Slavic. You can't be a slave. Yeah, they talk about those times, but you can't be a slave. You know why? Because the word slave comes from Slavic. The Slavic people at one time was where they went to go get people to slave, and that was with their own culture. By nationality, you can't be a slave because you're not a fucking Slavic. That goes over a lot of people's heads, you know what I'm saying? Like, because nobody really truly dissects the information. It's not just about reading shit. You know what I'm saying? It's about dissecting it. It's almost like if I'm going to read something, I need to know the intentions based behind it. You know what I mean? I need to know the intentions based behind that. And everything is never told. Like reasons sometimes appear themselves to a benefit of an individual that you just don't see it as the subsequent downfall of a circumstance that you don't know can be multiplied into something else, and then later you sitting there like, how did it even get here? Like chess is a real deep game, yo. And if you never sat down and played for hours, you have no clue about what I'm talking about. You just think things just randomly occur and people say certain shit and then they believe that this is the value and then they run with it. That's not how life works. You know what I'm saying? Like it shows me, like, the more I see things congest into idealistic forms, like I see that people still don't understand what life is about. And life is about living it and experiencing it, but that has nothing to do with what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, it has nothing to do with what it is. You know what I mean? So listen, life is a place where original people were put to think in a God-like form. The reason why I'm using the word God is because it's the closest to a higher understanding that normal people can think of. But, you can't use the word God because God is good. It's a Germanic term or Gothic term meaning something else. It's not God. It's supreme beings. We are supreme beings. We are supreme beings here to think supremely, meaning we come together in the supreme way and imagine other idealistic pretenses out of pure unconditional love to create that as a new world. And being connected to the original source of energy, the divine creator, we can bring those worlds into fruition. That's what we're here for. And some ideas have came to fruition. It's the reason why they're here. They're still here now. But you got another energy that exists that said, well, I can't create like that. I can't bring stuff to fruition, so I'm going to control what's being brought to fruition. I'm going to control what comes out. This is the non-fulfillment that we lack. And it gets ill like that. You just got to know being connected to the divine is the way to spread your manifestations that you bring into actuality, into another world. So this is the familiarity of the constants. People say, oh, recreation. Well, you're supposed to be, the energy is not really recreated in the sense. It's more or less you travel from one world to the new world that you added to. You know what I'm saying? So this is where they say the end of a world. It's going to always be an end of a world because it's an end of a time. You know what I mean? But the narrative has to stay. That narrative has to stay in the motion to allow you to create in the value of how you see fit. You know what I'm saying? To create the world. But all that, the ideal of where you create or what you put your creation on, like the type of tablet you use or the pad you use to write on or the easel you use to paint on. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's being controlled. So your outtake, when it comes out, it lands somewhere. You know what I mean? It goes somewhere specific. And you got to be mindful that your energy is being utilized. You can't even think in a new form right now because everything around you subsequently leads your thoughts, and that's being created from other things. That's how the control blocks what the energy does. It takes that space. It takes that space up of naturally being able to bring forth something new, anew from you, out of you. You know what I'm saying? Everybody got a God inside them or a good, something that connects to the dead. Everybody has that inside them, but the outside of us, the supreme being outside of us, is the connection to each light point that ever existed. The light points of here in the present, future, and past, the light points. So when they talk about reincarnation, they only scratching on the surface. They scratch a sniff. They don't really know what that is. That's not even the definition for it, but it's an ideal towards the action. It's like whispering towards the action, but it ain't quite what it is. You know what I'm saying? Because every energy is the presence of what you feel. So every place you ever been, every place we ever been, our body absorbs that. We absorb it. Smell it, taste it, touch it, all that. You absorb it. And this is information that's getting branded into your electrical frequency that gives you a life, that electromagnetism that runs up and down your body to let your blood flow and create that magnetism. It's running up and down your body. So when it experiences things, it embeds into that energy. That's the information embedded into that energy. You just printed that into your energy because it's an experience. So the more you're able to have experiences on this life with your body, you're also supposed to be creating. So when you create that into the physical, you add that to the experience. So all that information, it pulls out. It's like stretching out your intestines. It mad long, right? But if I stretched out the energy that just been going back and forth up inside your body for the time you live, that's going to create a life expectancy. And depending on from the point it started to the point it end, it could create a world. Because through those circumstances was there learning and growing. Did you learn from the beginning to the end? Did you master the pattern? Was it able to be mastered from one point to the other? When you got to the end, was you able to travel to another point? Was your road successful? Was your arc successful? See what I'm saying? Did you arc over correctly? Or did you cause more chaos within that situation to where there's not a learning point? What is the experience for if there's not a connection or understanding to it? I ain't about to, yeah, let me chill right now. Let me chill. I ain't gonna even keep going. I ain't gonna do it, but I'm gonna holler at y'all. You already know the vibes. Naga.